It was fantastic, and from that day forward, I was kind of like, I like getting stoned. In the beginning, I was just like, you know what, man? Basically, I'm gonna wait till all my work is done, 5, 6 o'clock at night and shit, smoke a joint a day. I think I've earned that. And she's like, yeah, go ahead. She's a wine drinker, and I never had one of those releases except for obviously eating. So she was like, go ahead. And I started smoking about 5, 6 o'clock at night, smoke a joint. Everything was wonderful and shit. And after about 3 days of that, I was like, why am I waiting until 7 o'clock at night? Like, I don't really have a job, man. I could probably start like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and whatnot. So then I started smoking 2, 3 o'clock. We'd get the kid off, you know, wherever she was going, camp, school, or whatever. I'd get some work done, and then lunch, and then, you know, I'd start smoking. And boy, this was a great life. And then Zach and Mary came out and didn't open very well. And I became a wake and baker overnight, man. Got up that morning, just started smoking weed from the moment I woke up. And that's pretty much how I live my life at this point. And it's amazing. Now, I don't advocate stoning for people that are lazy. I'm not a lazy stoner, and I don't want to distance myself from my brethren and cisterns, whatever, who smoke weed. But I kind of cabled mine to something. I knew that, like, you know, look, I got an addictive personality, I know that much, in as much as the eating went. And I knew that I liked weed, and so the more I'd get into it, the more I'd veg out and just stop doing shit. So I was like, look, if you're going to do this, whenever you smoke a joint, just start doing something creative and shit. Not like get up and tap dance, because fuck that. You know, record a podcast, cut a podcast, write something, answer email, fucking answer Twitter or something like that. Get out there, do something creative. That way, it's always tied to something. You know, you're not just sitting there smoking, watching TV, vegging out. So in the last 2 years that I've been a hardcore smoker, man, I've accomplished more in these last 2 years than I accomplished for the whole fucking first 15 years of my career. I don't know how it works, but weed works on me like Coke works on you, you know? It's like I smoke and I'm like, let's do shit, man! And I'm just kind of ready to go. But what it does is, I think somebody was describing it earlier to me, like, I like when I smoke weed, it takes me into a fantasy world. Who was that? Oh, it was John. I just got stoned with my wife's mother last night. She had a little back surgery and she came home and shit, and I was like, you know what you need? A joint. She goes, I sure do. And she came up to my house, and it was fantastic. Sat there getting really fucking stoned with Jen's mom and talking about life and love and all the years we've spent together and what a role model she was and shit is and continues to be and shit like that. I just like the honesty that kind of pours out of me with that kind of thing. And she said to me that, like, she was like, I like this because it puts me into a fantasy world. And I was like, me, it does the opposite. It removes all the blinders and puts truth on full fucking display. And suddenly you just want to deal with everyone really honestly. So whereas I used to be like, people would be like, hey man, how are you? I'm like, good, good. And then move on with my day. They'd be like, hey man, how are you? I'm like, well. And I go into a 20-minute explanation and shit like that. And they're just like, I just asked how you were. You know, now I tend to overshare because it just makes me, it opens up the vault, makes me very, very honest. So honestly speaking, I used to judge success or gauge success on a completely different scale than I do now. Basically, and I'm stoned, so see? Basically, what happens is the stuff that I used to do, that I used to be like, this is the mark of success, doesn't matter anymore. Now it's just like, can I impress myself? Can I impress the folks on Twitter? Can I impress my wife, my friends? That's about it. And I figure if I cover those cats, that pretty much covers everybody else, you know, and that also takes care of the old self-esteem. Twitter's been phenomenal for that as well, in terms of just being able to wake up every morning and talk to millions of different people, you know, that's been kind of cool. And also put a number on some shit, where it's like, people used to be like, nobody likes Kevin Smith. I'm like, 1.7, bitch, million, you know, that's a lot of nobodies, so. And it also makes shit easier. I used to really fret. I mean, look, I'm an artist, for lack of a better description. A lot of people, a lot of film critics particularly, tell you that's not true. But at the end of the day, I don't know what else my job description calls for. It's just artistry. I'm an artist. I try to be an artist. That's all I want to be. I just don't want to be a grown-up. I just basically want to keep doing. I want to make pretend for a living, and kind of that's what I get to do. And it's really, really nice. But weed is really great because it kind of fuels that, just makes you want to play more. So in some ways, in little ways, it almost feels like lately I just get paid to be stoned all the time. I feel like Snoop Dogg. I don't know, stuff like that. Like I used to get out of sorts when I'd read press pieces or something like that, where somebody writes some article on some fucking blog or website and shreds you, and you're just like, oh my God, how many people are seeing this? The whole fucking world is seeing this. And now every author conveniently puts "follow me on Twitter" right next to their article. So whenever I see some horrible fucking thing written about me where I'm like, oh my God, how will I ever get through this? I click on how many followers they have, and when it's like 20, I'm like, like it just puts a number on anything now. So I don't know, it kind of puts a lot of peace into life in as much as that. And that, once there's a lot of peace in your life, you stop thinking about the scale of success that you used to work from, which is the scale of success that I guess most people work from, and suddenly you kind of rein in. Like I met this chick, Amanda Palmer, recently. She did a show with us at Smodcastle, and she was great. And she just figured out at an early age, like she had a record deal, and one day she was just like, I'm not gonna be a rock star, man, so I'm just gonna serve my public. And that's something that I've very much been interested in the last 2 years. Figuring out that like I carry an audience, man. Like why do I want to play to anybody but them? And you get tacked on like internet. People are just like, if you just play to your audience, you'll never grow. And I'm like, Shakespeare only ever played to his audience, and nobody bitches about Shakespeare, you know. So at the end of the day, I don't know. I used to let a lot of people in print who I don't know, utter strangers who arbitrarily got a job to write about film or whatever. I used to kind of let them govern my actions and tell me how to feel about myself. But now, I don't feel that. Now the mark of success is, like, I've been making movies for 17 years now. I've been with my wife for 12 of those years. This is the first movie of mine she actually likes. You know, she's like, look, those other movies are cute, but it's just boys trying to get laid, and I've been dealing with that my whole life. She's going, but this is different, it's a grown-up movie and stuff. And so suddenly there's that. Suddenly I'm like, oh my God, I impressed fucking my wife. That's it, I'm done. Good night, everybody. You know, because I'll get laid off of that forever. That's the thing. At the end of the day, she fucks me. You know, I don't know why I'm always going like, oh, I gotta make sure all these people like it. None of those people fuck me. I should really just be playing to the audience of one. And be like, do you like this? And she's like, yes, enough to do this. You know? Or just roll a cheek up or something like that. But yeah, the definition of success has changed lately, and I have a sneaking suspicion that because of that, all the success that I used to look for in my younger days is just going to now happen, because it's a commonplace notion. I didn't even come up with it, but the moment you let it go is the moment it slaps you in the fucking face, sits in your lap, goes right up your ass. My grandmother used to say that all the time. And I kind of feel like that's it. I've hit that point, a nice zen point, where I'm just like, you know, I like what I do. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I hope they like it, but if not, I'm still going to keep doing it. Like, it wasn't like I'd do it any differently. That's the thing. I would read stuff about the movies where people go, you did this wrong, did this wrong. And I'm like, did I? No, I did it wrong if you were doing the movie, but I'm the one doing the movie, and I feel like I did a great job. I don't know, and shit like that just comes with growing up. I blame it on weed. I'm always like, weed did everything, but that just comes with age as well. The more you do anything, the more you've been through it. Like Cop Out, you know, I got fucking ass raped on Cop Out by the critics, and the press community in general. People just like hated the fucking movie, and the first day when the movie opened and shit, and everyone was like, oh, the critics hate it, I got this scared feeling like I used to when I was a kid, like, you know, oh my God, I'm gonna get in trouble. And then I was like, wait a second, why? Like, I'm not in trouble. And then I was like, wait a second, I've done this before, man. This is just like Battlestar Galactica. This has all happened before, it'll all happen again. Like, I have made a movie where people are like, it sucks and you suck and you're finished in this business. And it's happened twice before, this is the third time. So if they didn't boot me out after this time, chances are they're never gonna fucking boot me out, man. So at that point and then I started thinking about, wait a second, people are shredding Cop Out. I mean, it's not the same people, mind you, but that community, the critical community, they're the same critical community that shredded Mallrats. And Mallrats is the one movie that I've made that the most people come up to me in life and go like, I love Mallrats. Or Mallrats is the one that led me to Chasing Amy or Dogma. So it was the gateway drug in a lot of ways. So in that way, you know, you're just kind of like, oh, you get to a point where you're like, I think I know what I'm doing to some degree. I'm no expert at this, but I'm happy with the technique that I've kind of put together. And then just when I got happy with it, we kind of upped it a notch with this movie, Red State. It looks way different, plays way different. We didn't make a comedy, we made a horror movie for the first time ever. I tried to do something else, and it kind of worked out. So I don't know, it just, it all kind of came at the aging, weed, and going through the cop-out experience too really kind of changed me to some degree. It just got me to a point of like not caring. And not like I don't care about the work. I obviously care about the work. I spent a lot of time fucking doing it. I care about the work in ways that most don't. Like, I'm not a director, I'm a writer, I'm a director, and I edit the movie. So in the cases of movie that I write, that movie's with me from the moment I think about it to the moment it goes to DVD, because all of my jobs continue through every step of the fucking way. And then for other stuff, for stuff that I didn't write, like Cop Out, I could easily just been like, I'll just direct this, man, let somebody else edit it. And I fought him to edit it because I was like, I won't feel like I'm doing anything unless I'm also cutting the movie. Otherwise, I'm just here to babysit, because all these people are really good at their jobs. They don't need somebody to be go and stop. You know, they could totally do it without me because it's a script that I didn't write. So I got to that really comfortable place where I was like, oh, he basically, I'm not essential. You know what I'm saying? I am essential and I'm not essential. Everything would kind of continue on without me on a set if I wasn't there. In the movies that I don't write, like vis-a-vis Cop Out or that Rebirth pilot that I directed. But in the stuff that I do write, nothing happens unless I fucking show up, because I'm kind of the linchpin ingredient. So I realized, like, you know, what I probably knew in the beginning, I like writing my stuff more than I like directing somebody else's stuff. But I don't know, it's an important step to take, and it's the one that led directly to Red State, and Red State is, I think, the best thing we've ever done. So I'm kind of like, you know, a lot of people kind of went after Cop Out. I'm like, Cop Out was essential. Cop Out is like the, you know, one of the Gretzky kids that grew up next to Wayne Gretzky, you know, where it's just like, look at fucking, he's amazing, and these are his brothers, kind of thing. So that's the way I feel about it. But I don't know, you get older and get basically the success margin or success metric kind of changes. And right now, my success metric or my ratio is so fucking far and skewed from everybody else's, not even in a necessarily good way, but it's just like I just kind of moved it away from where it was to do what we're going to do over the course of the next 6 months, which is a little bit different than anything we've done before. So I'm just kind of getting ready for that. I think I'm going to die soon too. I think that's where all the creativity comes from. I've been trying to figure it out. I'm like, why am I doing so much now? And I think there's something deep inside of me that's just like, get it out, because you're not going to have much longer to do it. So I'm like overproducing at this point. But you didn't ask me that, so fuck that. That's it. Are we cool? Did we get it? Okay, bye.